Welcome to our deep dive into the shocking history of presidential assassination attempts in the United States. From the early 19th century to the present day, these events have shaped the course of American history. Each attempt, a stark reminder of the fragility of power and the ever-present potential for chaos. The presidency, a symbol of stability and strength, tested by the unpredictable nature of human behavior. Join us as we uncover the stories behind these attempts, exploring the motivations of the assailants and the lasting impact on the nation. Our journey begins in 1835 with Andrew Jackson, the 7th President of the United States. Known for his fiery temperament and populist appeal, Jackson was a man who inspired both fierce loyalty and bitter opposition. On a cold January day, as Jackson left the Capitol building, a seemingly unremarkable event unfolded, one that would etch itself into the annals of presidential history. A man emerged from the crowd, Richard Lawrence, a house painter by trade, his mind clouded by delusions and a deep-seated hatred for the president. In his hands he held not a tool of his trade but a weapon, a pistol, aimed directly at the president's heart. The deafening crack of gunfire echoed through the air, but Jackson stood unharmed. The pistol had misfired. Lawrence, undeterred, produced a second pistol, aiming once more. Again, the hammer fell on a faulty percussion cap. The crowd, momentarily stunned into silence, erupted in a cacophony of shock and outrage. But Jackson, his eyes blazing with defiance, charged at his would-be assassin, raining down blows with his cane. Andrew Jackson, as Andrew Jackson, "You, sir, will not take my life so easily." The nation was still reeling from the aftermath of the Civil War, a nation yearning for healing and unity. Abraham Lincoln, the president who had guided the country through its darkest hour, stood on the cusp of a new era. Yet, fate, as it so often does, had a cruel twist in store. On April 14, 1865, the president and his wife attended a performance at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C., a night intended for respite and relaxation. The atmosphere in the theater was light, the audience captivated by the performance unfolding before them. Unbeknownst to them, a figure lurked in the shadows, a Confederate sympathizer named John Wilkes Booth, his heart consumed by hatred and a desire for vengeance. As the play reached its climax, Booth, his movements cloaked in the darkness, crept up to the presidential box, a single-shot Derringer pistol clutched in his hand. A deafening blast shattered the air, piercing the laughter and applause. Lincoln slumped forward, a bullet lodged in his brain. The audience, initially stunned into silence, erupted in chaos, their cries of shock and disbelief echoing through the theater. Our journey takes us now to the bustling train station in Washington, D.C. on July 2, 1881. The air buzzed with activity, passengers rushing to catch their trains, their voices mingling with the hiss of steam engines and the clatter of luggage carts. Among them stood James A. Garfield, the 20th President of the United States, a man of sharp intellect and unwavering optimism. As Garfield made his way through the crowded station, a figure emerged from the throng, Charles J. Guiteau, a disgruntled office seeker, his mind warped by delusions of grandeur and resentment. In his hand, Guiteau clutched a .44 caliber revolver, its cold steel a stark contrast to the warmth of the summer day. 2 shots rang out, piercing the clamor of the station, their echoes bouncing off the marble walls. Garfield crumpled to the ground, a crimson stain blossoming on his back. The crowd, transformed in an instant from a sea of faces to a mass of panicked humanity, surged back in terror. Guiteau, his face contorted in a grimace of triumph and madness, made no attempt to flee. Chapter 4. William McKinley, The Shadow of Anarchy. The Pan American Exposition, a dazzling showcase of technological marvels and cultural achievements, unfolded in Buffalo, New York, in 1901. President William McKinley, a man who had led the nation through an era of unprecedented economic growth, greeted well-wishers with his trademark warmth and sincerity. Amidst the joyous celebrations and displays of national pride, a sinister undercurrent lurked. embodied in the form of Leon Czolgosz, a self-proclaimed anarchist, his heart consumed by a fervent belief in the overthrow of all forms of government. On September 6, 1901, Czolgosz, his hand concealed by a handkerchief, approached the president, who stood unguarded, his hand outstretched in greeting. 2 shots rang out, their deafening blasts shattering the festive atmosphere. McKinley staggered back, clutching his stomach, his face contorted in pain. The crowd, initially frozen in disbelief, erupted in a frenzy of panic and confusion. Czolgosz, his mission accomplished, made no attempt to escape, his face betraying a chilling lack of remorse. Chapter 5. John F. Kennedy, A Day of Mourning in Dallas. The year was 1963. John F. Kennedy, the young and charismatic president, embarked on a political trip to Dallas, Texas. The city, bathed in the warm glow of a late autumn sun, buzzed with excitement, its streets lined with cheering crowds eager to catch a glimpse of their president. As the motorcade, a symbol of power and prestige, made its way through Dealey Plaza, a sense of normalcy pervaded the air. Then, at 12:30 p.m. on that fateful day, the world watched in horror as a tragedy unfolded before their eyes. 3 shots rang out, their sharp reports piercing the cheers of the crowd. Kennedy, struck in the head and neck, slumped over, his lifeblood staining the pristine pink of Jackie Kennedy's Chanel suit. The motorcade, transformed in an instant from a stately procession to a desperate race against time, sped towards Parkland Memorial Hospital, its sirens wailing a mournful dirge. Chapter 6. Theodore Roosevelt, the speech that wouldn't be silenced. The campaign trail, a grueling test of endurance and resilience, often brings out the best and worst in people. In 1912, Theodore Roosevelt, the former president known for his boundless energy and progressive ideals, campaigned as the candidate for the Progressive Party. On October 14th, as Roosevelt prepared to deliver a speech in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, a man named John Schrank, driven by a potent cocktail of mental instability and political fanaticism, lay in wait. As Roosevelt greeted the crowd, his teeth flashing in his trademark grin, Schrank emerged from the throng, his hand concealed within his coat pocket. A shot rang out, echoing through the stunned silence. Roosevelt, struck in the chest, staggered back, his face contorted in pain. But to the astonishment of all present, he refused to yield to the attacker's bullet. Clutching his chest, his voice hoarse but unwavering, Roosevelt continued his speech, his words a testament to his indomitable spirit.
It takes more than that to kill a bull moose.
The year was 1981, a time of political and social change in America.
Ronald Reagan, the newly elected president, exuded an aura of optimism and charm.
On March 30th, as Reagan emerged from the Washington Hilton Hotel, his smile beaming out at the crowd, a figure emerged from the throng of admirers and journalists.
John Hinckley Jr., driven by a misguided obsession with actress Jodie Foster, saw this as his moment to achieve notoriety.
6 shots rang out in rapid succession, their sharp cracks piercing the air, transforming the celebratory atmosphere into a scene of chaos and terror. Reagan, struck in the chest, crumpled to the ground, his blood staining the pavement.
Secret Service agents, their faces etched with urgency and fear, immediately shielded the president, hustling him into his limousine and speeding away towards George Washington University Hospital.
The political climate in the United States had reached a fever pitch by 2024. Former President Donald Trump, known for his divisive rhetoric and polarizing personality, was once again in the midst of a heated campaign.
On July 13th, as I addressed a rally in Butler, Pennsylvania, the air crackled with a mix of anticipation and unease.
The crowd, a sea of red Make America Great Again hats, roared their approval as Trump delivered his speech, his voice booming through the loudspeakers.
Amidst the fervor and adulation, a lone figure, Thomas Matthew Crooks, motivated by a potent mix of political extremism and personal grievances, saw an opportunity to make his mark.
As Trump neared the end of his speech, a single shot rang out, its sound cutting through the cheers and applause. Chaos erupted as the crowd surged back in terror, their cheers transformed into screams of panic and disbelief. The year was 1909. William Howard Taft, a man of imposing stature and a reputation for judicial integrity, had assumed the presidency. As Taft journeyed to El Paso, Texas for a historic summit with Mexican President Porfirio Diaz, a sinister plot unfolded in the shadows. A group of anarchists, their hearts filled with a volatile mix of anti-government sentiment and a desire to incite chaos, saw this as an opportunity to strike a blow against the established order. Their plan, hatched in secrecy and fueled by extremist ideology, involved planting a bomb along the president's route, a deadly trap intended to eliminate both Taft and Diaz, plunging the two nations into turmoil. But fate, it seemed, had other plans. An observant Secret Service agent, his suspicions aroused by a series of seemingly unrelated events, uncovered the plot just hours before the president's arrival. The year was 1933. America, mired in the depths of the Great Depression, looked to Franklin D. Roosevelt, the newly elected president, with a mixture of hope and desperation. As Roosevelt basked in the warmth of the Miami sun, greeting well-wishers after delivering a speech, a figure emerged from the crowd, his movements a study in quiet determination. Giuseppe Zangara, an Italian immigrant driven to desperation by economic hardship and plagued by chronic stomach pains, believed that by striking down a powerful figure, he could alleviate his suffering. 5 shots rang out in quick succession, their sharp reports piercing the air. The crowd, transformed in an instant from a throng of well-wishers to a panicked mob, surged back in terror, their screams echoing through the streets. But Roosevelt, seemingly untouched, remained standing, his face a mask of calm amidst the chaos. Thank you for joining us on this journey through some of the most dramatic moments in American history. The stories we've explored, each a chilling reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present potential for violence, offer a unique lens through which to view the evolution of the United States. From the cobblestone streets of 19th-century Washington, D.C., to the bustling campaign rallies of the 21st century, the threat of assassination has cast a long shadow over the American presidency. Stay tuned for more fascinating stories from the past.